Hi guys, today we're gonna talk about 3 tips for the beginner guitarist, which are gonna help you to practice with your guitar and learning your guitar easier than without these tips. So the tips number 1 is basically to, you've seen how the regular position of the guitar in any guitar video, or even like the way how you holding your guitar at the moment. It's this position, like rock position, when you placing your guitar on the hip of your right leg, sorry. And this is the way how you're playing it. But if you are a beginner, and I'm talking about like the very beginner, like if very first months of learning, probably like even like first like half year, for you much better is gonna be to place the guitar in so-called classic position, like that. What the benefit of holding your guitar like that is way easier to learn the open chord, particularly the tricky chords like C chord, D chord, G chord. So when you're gonna try to learn C chord, for example, in that position, that's the chord. So now it's easy for me to fret the C chord. But in the beginning, you probably know it if you are working on it at the moment. It feels very hard. It feels that hard that it's almost impossible to do. And placing your guitar like that is making fretting that chord way easier. I wouldn't say it's gonna be like immediate change from like you cannot do it to you easily can do it. No, it still will be hard to do. It's still gonna be hard to do. But with this, if you're gonna hold guitar like that, it's gonna make a big enough difference for you to learn the C chord way easier than if you're gonna hold the guitar in a rock position on your right hip. So also that's gonna work well if you practicing something like a spider web exercise. Also, it's if you're placing your guitar like usual way in a rock position, it's still pretty hard to navigate your fingers on the fretboard doing spider web exercise. It's pretty hard if you're a beginner, but if you're gonna place your fingers like that and your guitar like that, that's actually a bit easier. And that small, I mean, it's not even small difference. It's like that's good enough difference, I would say. And that difference, it's very important when you're doing your first steps in learning the guitar. So if you're gonna do that, that's gonna make your life much easier in the very beginning of your progress. Tip number 2. Tip number 2 is going to make your life much easier when you in the period when you're learning open chords. So basically related to the tip number 1, but well, it's going to be different things we're going to talk about. So most of the guitar picks, what you will use probably for strumming your guitar strings, it's going to be something like sturdy and thick guitar picks with the thickness like 1+ millimeters. Like it's very common for guitar players to have guitar picks with the thickness like 1 millimeter plus, 1.5 millimeter, 2 millimeters, and like that. And it makes sense because when the guitar pick is hard like that and sturdy, it's easier to pick individual strings. When you like picking strings individually, like It's always nice to have that control on the very end of your guitar pick. So the hard pick is good choice for the most of the guitar players. But if we're talking about open chords, this is where the things get trickier. So when you're playing the open chords with the hard, thick guitar pick, the very first thing what you will notice as a beginner guitar player is that this guitar pick is slipping off your fingers. So you're like playing like for a few minutes, and you start feeling that the guitar pick is slipping off your fingers, slipping away, and you need to regrip it, like to place it once again, to make a grip better, to stop your playing and things like that. It's related to almost any guitar player in the very beginning when they just start to learn to play guitar, and it's very annoying. And I mean the the real solution is just to keep practicing until you will feel it's like it's like riding the bicycle. There is no like a direct solution which will help you to speed up your progress. You just need to find that feeling of the balance when you will stop falling to the side. So it's pretty much the same thing with that guitar pick. You just have to hold it a bit relaxed so it won't slip away of your fingers. But it's gonna take time. It might take a lot of time actually. If we're talking about the bicycle, to find the balance it might take you a few days, well, even like a few hours. So with guitar picks it might take a month, multiple months. It's like, I don't know, 1, 2, half a year. So for me it was very frustrating. For like I cannot literally do anything with a strumming open chord with a hard guitar pick and with a thick hard guitar pick, and it was slipping away of my fingers all the time. It was super frustrating in the time when I was just start to learn to play guitar. But I found a solution. I've been experimenting with different guitar picks, and I found that thin guitar picks, very flexible one, like with a thickness of like 0.58 millimeters, 0.65 millimeters, 0.71 millimeters probably. So it's flexible. It's way easier. So what's happening when you're strumming with this guitar pick? You basically can still hold it pretty tight. What you will probably do in the very beginning of your guitar journey, you will hold it tight. But no matter how tight you hold it, the flexible end of the grip will still strum the strings because it's bending. So it's way easier to play open chords with a thin guitar pick. So this is my second tip for you guys. Get for yourself a thin guitar pick with a thickness of 0.58, 0.65, 0.71 millimeters, and play your open chords and practice your open chords with this guitar pick until you will be able to play with your normal thick guitar pick, and it won't slip away of your fingers. So that's tip number 2. Tip number 3. So this tip is about how to make your practice routine, boring and frustrating practice routine, a little more organized, and to make it feel in the end better, not that frustrating and not that boring. So let me tell you an example. What I've been doing, I've been practicing like an hour a day, and I'm still practicing at least an hour a day. I'm trying to do it longer than that. But in the very beginning, my goal was to practice 1 hour a day at least. And it was very annoying, to be honest. When you're just sitting, like, and you're watching on the, watching on your, you checking your watch, like, literally, like, every, like, 5-10 minutes, like, so how many minutes pass, because it's very annoying. It was very frustrating. I cannot do anything. Every exercise going super tough. super bad. I feel like I can't play at all, and that's why I was checking time all the time, and it's kind of, killing the motivation. Uh, what I think is going to help you, like I come to that suggestion like a few months ago, is to use first of all metronome, and not just the metronome, but the metronome what you may find on YouTube. There's quite a lot of videos on YouTube with a metronome, like drum metronome. Actually, that's also a great tip. Instead of ticking metronome, like tick 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 tick, try to use drum metronome. It's much more fun. Just check for you, check required BPM, like 60 BPM, 80 BPM, the one you practice with, and find the drum metronome with this BPM. It sounds much cooler and much more interesting. So find the metronome video on YouTube, and what's good about that video is they usually have quite short time limit, 10 minutes usually, 10 minutes and like few seconds. So what you can do, if your practice routine includes like multiple exercises, usually multiple exercises, 2, 3, 4 exercises, you can like cut the whole practice session on that 10 minutes session for each exercise. So what are you doing? You switching on a drum metronome video, what you'll find on YouTube, 10 minutes video, and you start practicing like your first exercise, like for example chord switching exercise, like I'm doing. You start doing your chord switching exercise, and you're doing it for 10 minutes, and you will hear it. You're doing it like following the metronome rhythm, which is also very important. And and when metronome stops, you know that 10 minutes pass. You switch into another exercise after that, like spider web exercise. You're doing it for 10 minutes. Again, metronome stopped. You know that another 10 minutes passed. You switch into another exercise. Left hand finger exercise, for example, which is also quite a good exercise for the beginners. You're doing it for another 10 minutes. And if, let's say, this is the only exercise what you're doing during that an hour of practice, you're just going back to the first exercise. So you're doing another 10 minutes of chord switching exercise, then another 10 minutes of spider web exercise, and another 10 minutes of left hand fingers independence exercise. And that's it. And this is your 1 hour of practice. It's much better to track your progress like that. It's going much easier. It's not that frustrating. You don't need to check how many times of your practice passed already, because like every 10 minutes is going to be the end of your metronome sound. So it's going to start all over again in next 10 minutes. So you have to put the video on repeat, obviously, for that. And that's it. That was my 3 tips for the beginners, for the beginner guitar player, how to make your guitar practice easier, less frustrating, and more beneficial. Don't skip your practice. Practice every day, motivate yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.